right, Mr. Collins, sheriff, next sheriff. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your plans to run for sheriff.
Well, first of all, I am a nearly 20-year veteran of the Chicago Police Department, and I'm a third-generation Chicago police officer. And I was born on the Greater West Side of Chicago.
Part of them family ties in the police department. Okay, we're going to talk about that on another show.
Yeah, but like I said again, I was born on the Greater West Side of Chicago.
Greater West Side. West Side.
As you know, in Chicago we have a rich history in the African-American community. Strong men who have to step forward and look out for our community. That's one of the reasons why I'm running for Cook County Sheriff. We have someone who is now the current sheriff, Tom Dart, who has no police experience, never been a police officer, no police training whatsoever.
He's Irish and connected on
that's it, and he's a career politician. And that contributes to the high rate of crime in which we have in our county right now. And yet while we have well over 200 kids killed in a small frame of time over the last year, our sheriff department has been silent. It has been non-existent. And that's simply unacceptable.
Well, he's busy making a living out of Burr Oak Cemetery.
Well, last time I drove past Burr Oaks, those people there don't need a politician. They need somebody who can take care of the living right now. You know, just the other day, another child was shot. That's got to touch somebody's heart. These are our children. They're not children from outer space. These are our children. And we can't expect for somebody else to come in and save our children. We've got to take it upon ourselves and take a stand. And that's why I'm running for Cook County Sheriff. It's a new day in Cook County. It will no longer be Crook County. It will become once again known as the Great Cook County.
Now, you having law enforcement experience with CPD, what would you do as a sheriff to reduce crime and illegal activities in the county of Cook?
Well, let me first say this. In 1995, I worked on what was the roughest part of the city, the highest crime rate, which was the west side of Chicago out of Area 4, Harrison and Kedzie, very well known around the country. And yet we lowered crime in 1995, and we did it by attacking the gangs and the drugs and having a strong relationship with the community, but also with business owners. You know, talking to the business owners to try to get children involved in after-school programs who could come around and help work in their stores and different things. And that's what you need. You know, they talk about bringing in the National Guard. How about economic guard? One of the things I'm going to do when elected as sheriff is allocate 150 Cook County Sheriff's Police who do nothing right now but ride around and sit on their butt, and allocate them to back up the Chicago Police Department in a special task force that will go actively and proactively after the gangs and the drug dealers.
But Mayor Daley don't want no outside law enforcement in the city.
Well, see, that's one thing I won't have to worry about as sheriff. As sheriff, I'm going to make sure the mayor understands that I'm not in his city. He's in my county.
I would ask you if you can arrest him, but we won't. Not on this show. Another place, another time.
But in all seriousness, this is something that's very much close and dear to my heart, and that is the future of our children in our community. We know since Tom Dart has been sheriff, and even before then, we have criminals escaping from the jails, pedophiles lost in the system who still prey on and attack our children as they go back and forth to school. We've got to come up with a strategy, and I have a blueprint just for that. The part one is attacking crime on the street, which lowers the inmate population in the jail. Tom Dart and them can't figure out how to lower the inmate population in jail. They think by shipping prisoners off to other counties that lowers the population. No, it doesn't. He's ignored the streets, and that just simply doesn't work. I'm going to attack crime on the streets, boots to the ground, and I will not be in an office. I will be on the street every day. Another thing I'm going to do is update the computer system in Cook County. If you look at our Cook County Sheriff's vehicles, we're paying $12,000 a month, get this, Coach, for rental vehicles for the Chief Sheriff's Office of the Sheriff's Police of Cook County. Rental vehicles.
$12,000 a month?
$12,000 a month.
Berto, we better get us a contract with the counties.
I think you should, because it's over $2 million a year for rental vehicles. These aren't police vehicles equipped with sirens or anything that could help in protecting and serving the citizens of Cook County. They're luxury vehicles for them.
Abuse of taxpayers' dollars. Now, for those listeners out there that really don't know what's the duty and responsibility of the sheriff, enlighten them exactly would be your duties and responsibilities.
Well, the main duty of the Cook County Sheriff is to enforce the law of Cook County. He is the chief executive officer, law enforcement officer of all of Cook County, all of Cook County, not just unincorporated Cook County, but all of Cook County. What has happened is the sheriff has sat silently in a deal between him and our city mayor, in which the people are not being serviced by the sheriff's office. You see him when it comes time to eviction, but you don't see him when it comes time to serve and protect.
And you know, 80% of the prison population in the state of Illinois is African American.
Isn't that shocking?
African American.
And yet less than 3% are employed by the sheriff's department.
Less than 3%.
Isn't that shocking?
Hey, you know, I saw a statistic, and I don't remember quite the numbers, but I think it was 67% of the crime in the United States, violent crimes, are committed by whites.
Yes.
I think it was 23 by Hispanics, and blacks made up the difference, which was in the teens. But yet we overpopulate the prisons to nearly 1.5 million black men and women in jail across this country.
And here's just another thing I've heard you say in the past, Coach. It really amazes me that things that are destructive to our community and our people is made readily available to them, because there are no blacks who own planes who can bring in the drugs and the marijuana past the borders and the Border Patrol. If they were to take that same energy and bring in jobs to our communities, ship in businesses to our community, we could turn it all the way around. We could turn it all the way around. We've got to remember, these are our children. They're not somebody else's children. These are our children. And the problem has become so systemic, it's reached out to the suburbs. It's happening everywhere now.
Yeah, it's becoming a national issue now. It used to be basic inner city urban issue, but now it's becoming, you know, they're running out to the suburbs now. Now the suburbs have to deal with it. And, you know, when you talk about being the sheriff, people don't understand that prisons are a business.
Yes, they
It's
are.
a multi-billion dollar
business.
industry.
That's right.
To the point you have private corporations investing in prisons.
Right. Not in schools, but in prisons.
And, you know, it's really amazing to me when I look at the law in Cook County. The judge has put a law out that says they must properly fund the prisons, or the sheriff will be in contempt of court, going to jail, and the county commissioners. But there is no law that says you have to properly fund education, which would prevent our kids from winding up in jail.
Where are the priorities? Where are the priorities? Well, on November 2nd,
November 2nd. Tell us about November 2nd.
November 2nd is the election in which I become the new Cook County Sheriff. And you can send a clear message to Tom Dart, who seems to never met a microphone he didn't like. It's going to take more than jumping in front of microphones, standing in front of graveyards. It takes being out there on the streets. It takes getting to know the community one-on-one. I've done it for nearly the last 20 years as a Chicago police officer. And I know what it takes to keep a community safe, to keep people safe.
So what can the people do on November 2nd to aid and assist your campaign?
The people can come out in strong force and clearly elect me as their next Cook County Sheriff and vote for Frederick Collins for Cook County Sheriff. Remember, our children are more than just our future. They're our investment. And we can't simply afford to have anybody take our investment away from us. And we've got to understand that where there are no opportunities, crime will prevail. Where there are no businesses and it's not safe, crime will prevail. The number one thing we've got to understand is our children are very, very intelligent. And they understand that when you tell them no to something, they need something they can say yes to. And that's why as sheriff, I'm going to be a strong lobbyist for education. I believe Senator Meeks has a great plan in which education dollars go directly to education, nowhere else, not in the general fund. You know, they always talk about the gambling, you know, we need this for education. We need this for education. But then once it's passed, it doesn't go to education. And we've got to stop that. We're 49th in the country when it comes to funding education. That has got to change.
You know, I heard a study or a quote by Ron Huberman that said study, statistics, and data, which is, since he's not an educator, only thing he can go by is what somebody else report in data and statistics, that 3rd and 4th graders will wind up dropping out of school. Those that are failing will wind up dropping out of school in the grave dead, or they'll wind up in gangs.